and welcome back to the Scale Modelling Cafe, and welcome to another weekly update. Obviously I didn't do one last week because of the whole thing around Her Majesty the Queen. A very emotional day on Monday watching the funeral procession, especially seeing the junior sailors on the gun carriage. That set me off with pride in my old service. So BZ to all those guys and girls involved in that, and the captain out the front. I actually know her. She's a links observer. You know, well done to her as well. We're kind of back to normal now, so I'm going to restart these. Hopefully, be able to get these out every week. And clearly, there's a little bit of a backlog from last week to go through as well. So I'm not going to talk too much about go too far back in the past on a bit of a catch up. I'm just going to mention just a few of the highlights over the last couple of weeks as well. But first off, let's have an update on the current project, which is the Antonov 2 Colt. What I have here are, and I'll put some pictures up because I've just taken some. Here are the fuselage halves, and I've started to do a little bit of detailing on the outside. I'm just going to pause that now though, because I think we're pretty much at the point where I can put some primer down on the internals and start the painting, which is quite exciting. I'm wondering if today, because it's the weekend out here, I'm wondering if today I can actually get the fuselage halves buttoned up. I really hope so, and then hopefully the project can accelerate. But I've been really enjoying it, all this detail. Some highlights. Oh, I forgot to glue that on and it's just disappeared. Oh, where's that gone? That's in the carpet. The carpet monster's got it. It's a tiny little resin bit of blah from, I believe, a 48 scale B17 set. Anyway, this is the roof. You'll be able to see maybe here if I hold it against my dark t-shirt. A circle. That's going to be for the gun turret. Hopefully a gunner could get his shoulders through there. I need to actually build the turret first. That's going to be the next job. But all sorts of random greeblies for detail on the roof. This sort of tank thing just comes off. I'll put that back on later. So that's the roof. I've got all the bulkheads here. This is the 3D printed resin one by friend of the channel, Nige. The almost like a submarine hatch, I guess. That's at the very back. The next one is this bulkhead, which is for between the waist gunners at the back and the main cabin. That's ready. I've done a lot of detailing on the bulkhead between the cockpit and the cabin with some, again, 3D resin printed radios from Nige. There's that. The cockpit is almost ready. So what I'm going to do next is I need to add all the levers and things for the engine controls, because there's more engines on this, so it needs more levers. And I've added a whole load of photo etch to the sides of the console. Not that you're going to see much, but it's there. I've prepared the Mohawk ejection seats. Now, what I was going to do is add the face curtain pull mechanism and then do something with the cockpit roof. So these would actually be proper ejection seats. However, what I did do on the bulkhead here is add this panel at the top with some little bit of resin detail. I'm actually going to put some instrument 3D printed blah on the top there. That bit at the top would block the seats going up the rail. So I've got two choices. One, I do the ring pull ejection seat and just say that this had explosive bolts and that would disappear, or not put the ring pull and, you know, it had ejection seats but then in a later modification period they added this and then they made the seats in it. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Either way, the toilet is ready. As is the water tank on the top. That's cool. I've got loads of other greeblies here. And then the last thing is the main cabin floor, which is fairly sparse actually. Just I've just added a seat. There's a little bit of detail on the cockpit sides there. This kind of tank thing and the air conducting, which I've made from plastic tubing or plastic rod. So that's it, and there's a whole load of greeblies there that I'm not going to touch because I've already lost one bit on the carpet. As soon as I finish filming this, I'm going to go and find that again. I'm really excited about this project. I'm really enjoying all the detail. The imagination is flowing. I haven't really got a plan in mind. I'm just making it up as I go along, which is really freeing actually, and it's really good fun. As I said, next up, I'm desperately trying not to say so, that's why I paused, which everyone's got their little, everyone who does public speaking, in whatever guise or form, has a little tick. Mine is, I say so a lot, and I'm desperately trying to minimise that. Hence, you might get a pause while I'm just stopping myself from saying the word so, trying to think of something else. Next up then, I'm just going to do a reappraisal, see if there's anything else I can actually add before primer, and then I'm going to go in and paint all the interior, which is going to be really great fun. When I've finished painting the base coat, I'm going to do all the wiring. There's going to be an awful lot of wiring to be added to this. That's why you haven't seen it on the photographs, but I've drilled out all the holes and everything like that ready. And as I said, hopefully get that buttoned up today. That's the plan. Right, I've made some notes here. So, excuse me while I put my rather natty reading glasses on. Update on the channel then. So, there we go. I've said it. I might put a little counter in the corner one day and actually count them. Right, what went on over the last couple of weeks? Last Sunday was part 2 of the Airfix Lightning video build. That dealt with the cockpit, and I concentrated on the weathering of the cockpit, and I think I got as I mentioned in the video, I think I got the colour wrong. It's a little bit too blue, but hey ho, live and learn. And I concentrated on painting the seat because it's a small dark cockpit, but as I mentioned in the video, the seat is the focal point of the cockpit, which is the focal point of the model. I thought it was important to concentrate on the seat. That's why that takes up, I don't know, maybe a third of the video. That was that. Last Wednesday, I put up a fireside chat, I'm going to call these those series of videos, all about Airfix, where I just offer my opinion on the brand. I love the brand, which is why it frustrates me even more than I think it should do. I'm going to say it because it's appropriate. So, go back and watch that if you haven't seen it already. Some great comments, which I haven't got round to reading all of them and replying to all of them yet. I'm going to do that today. Some really long ones, actually, which is fantastic. In the same vein, next Wednesday, I've filmed and edited a video about Edward because they are my favourite manufacturer. So I've gone from one of my favourites, but my biggest frustration, to my actual favourites. And what I'm going to do is, every now and again, I'm just going to film a video, in my opinion, on a particular manufacturer. Because I really enjoy doing it. And it'd be great to get your feedback on that. So look out for that next Wednesday. Before that, this coming Sunday, so I'm filming this and this will go up today, Friday. On Sunday, as I said, is part 3 of the Lightning build, which is the construction. That's where I essentially get it ready for primer. You'll see me put the fuselage halves together using the super glue. method. I still don't know what I'm going to do on this actually, whether I'm going to go down the super glue route for speed or whether I'm going to use traditional liquid cement. I still haven't made that decision. I'll probably make that decision at the moment. I've got the 2 glues there and I'm ready to apply it. Yeah, some more thought required on that. That's the upcoming videos. Right, some of the modelling news that's caught my eye over the last couple of weeks, and in just the order that I uploaded it on the Facebook channel. If you haven't seen the Facebook channel, that's where I post most days actually. I'm going to start putting updates on the current project, but I also share a load of the modelling news. I share some really nice models that have caught my eye during the week, and every now and again I'll just put a personal post about something modelling related that is worthy of comment. Go check that out if you haven't already. It's called the Scale Modelling Cafe, obviously. Okay, so some of the things over the last couple of weeks that I've plucked from there. The ICM Key 21 1B Sally in 1/72 scale. That is getting closer. They've released more CAD renderings and the box art. Normally when companies release the box art means it's fairly close. I am going to get that model. I'm also going to get it in 48th as well. I really like the Key 21. I think it's my favourite Japanese bomber. There's just something about the shape of it that really appeals. Excuse me. So, but I mean that. So go and look out for that one when that comes out. I'm going to get that. When I do get it, and I will build it at some stage, that will have a full riveting job on it. So that's going to be painful, but ultimately worth it. Katari, I think that's how you pronounce them, that have born out of the ashes of Wingnut Wings. Their Spitfire 32nd scale Spitfire Mark 1A, which looks an absolute stunning kit, is open for pre-orders. So again, that is very, very close for release. If they're taking pre-orders on that now, that's $109 US, excuse me, plus shipping. That's the direct price from New Zealand. Whatever price is going to be in your particular country, I don't know. I'd imagine it would be $109 in the USA. And we in the UK normally pay around the US dollars price in pounds. It's a very crude rule of thumb. So I'd imagine it'll be about £100 in the UK. I'm not going to get that one, even though it's going to be a stunning, stunning kit. I've got too many aeroplanes in the stash. It's going to be around for a while, I'm sure. And the Mark 1A actually is not particularly my favourite subject. If they did a Mark 5B and certainly a 5C, I'd grab one. But that's just me. But that looks amazing. Takom have announced an Apache in 1/35 scale. In fact, a couple of Apaches in 1/35 scale. That thing is going to be an utter beast. I've built the 135 Hind. The Apache is smaller than the Hind. That was the trumpeter kit. That was a lump. That thing is going to be extremely impressive, I am sure. And I'm severely tempted to get that one as well, and then throw a load of aftermarket at it. We shall see. Hong Kong models. And this came completely out of the blue. We've had nothing from them for a while. They've announced a 1/48 scale B25J with the glass nose. I'm assuming it's a downsize of their really very, very nice 32nd scale kit. And I know that caused a bit of a kerfuffle at the time because it wasn't their original moulds. I think it was a Dutch chap and a Dutch company that were planning on releasing it. And to the point where the Dutch, under the Dutch banner, I forget the name of it, they'd actually built a test shop of it. So it was really close to fruition, and I'm assuming Hong Kong models they'd outsourced to them. And for whatever reason, I'm not going to get into it now, it's all very legal. Hong Kong Models ended up releasing it, and I believe that was their first kit, and then off they were running. If it is a downsize of their 1/32 scale kit, then this should be absolutely stunning, and I'm severely tempted by that as well. Trouble is, there's only so many models I can build, and I don't like having a stash, which this could be a subject for a fireside chat, couldn't it? Modelling stashes. I don't like having a stash because I don't like having money tied up in, it's a cliche, loft insulation. However, so my stash is actually relatively really very small. There's probably only about 50 or 60 models in there, of which half a dozen are out here in the cupboard just behind the camera. All those are going to get built though, out here. That bites me in the bum when say a magazine article comes up, or I have a rush of inspiration and I don't have the kit, it's out of production, I can't find one. The FX Lightning, absolute classic case in point. So it's that kind of two sides of the seesaw. Do I buy these models thinking that they might go out of production and therefore it's there for when I want it, but knowing it might be 10 years or I might never build them, and therefore effectively it's a bit of a waste of money? It's also a waste of money if there's plenty of them around and I just want to pick one up and then build it there and then. Or it's a decision. I was going to say it's a gamble. It's not a gamble, is it? It's just a decision we all need to make. There we go. There's another decision. I'm going to do an article on stashes. In fact, I'm going to write that down. Otherwise, I'm going to forget. I forgot to mention a really exciting model. And what I did is, in my mind, I put it at the bottom of the list, even though it was near the top of the list. And then I completely forgot to mention it. So I'm just going to insert this bit in. The Meng F4G Phantom in 1/48 scale. Oh my days. No one saw this coming, to the point where when the news first kind of leaked out, I guess, people thought it was a spoof. And, you know, there were comments of, oh, well, that's the old Hasegawa box art. So, you know, someone's winding us all up. And then a few days later, there were the CAD renderings on the official Meng website. And I say Meng, I think it's supposed to be pronounced something like Mung or something, but us, you know, English speakers, it's spelt Meng, and that's traditionally how we pronounce it. So apologies to Meng, Mung, and the purists out there, but I'm going to call them Meng. Right, the F4G. The Zukimura kit has only just been released, and I am going to be building that next year for a friend of mine. Same friend that I'm going to build the F4C for, that's just sat down over there. This looks really nicely detailed. I'm not entirely sure the breakdown of the fuselage. I'm a big fan of the way Academy did it with the one-piece fuselage, very much like the Tamiya 32nd scale kit. The one-piece fuselage, great. Yes, you do end up with a couple of mould seams running down the shoulders of it that you have to remove. I'm not a fan of the separate top plate that goes on. For me, trying to feather that in to make it look homogeneous with the rest of the airframes is quite difficult, no matter how good the fit. I think only Tamiya could possibly get away with it. So I'm hoping it's more of the Academy vein, or it's just a simple left-right halves. Just let us rescribe the circles over the top of the seam. It's fairly straightforward. For me, for my eyes, you get a better result. So that remains to be seen. But overall, for Meng to release an F4G in 48 scale, that's going to be an amazing, amazing kit. and I really hope that I can get to build one of those. I'm a big fan of the Hill scheme, the greys, the later greys. I do have an F4E by Hasegawa in the stash that I'm going to do as a Greek aeroplane in the Hill scheme, because they were delivered in that scheme, and I've got a photo of one that is so grotty that you wouldn't believe. That's going to be the plan, but that's been in the stash for a few years. Anyway, so the Meng F4G in 48 scale, how amazing is that? Right, I'll shoehorn this in somehow, so back to the rest of the show. So that's a little bit of a rundown of some of the news over the last couple of weeks. Some really exciting stuff in there, frankly. Okay, we've come to the end of this week's update. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please go and check out the Airfix Farside Chat video from last Wednesday if you haven't done already. Watch out for the Edward one next Wednesday. Watch out for the next episode of the Lightning build this coming Sunday. And I'll see you around, I guess. So thanks very much for tuning in. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.